Hi, everyone. Welcome back to What's Next with Ed and Ali. I'm Ed Funnekotter. I am the Senior Vice President of the core team here at Solace. And I was just noticed that I'm just about at my 19th anniversary here at Solace, which is crazy for me. When I started, my daughter was a brand new baby, and now she's in second year university. So long time here, but it's great to be here. And Ali, welcome.
That's awesome, Ed. Congratulations. My name is Ali. I'm head of Solace Cloud. I haven't been with Solace as long as Ed has been. It's about 3.5 years for me. Getting there, Ed. I'll promise to catch up at some point in the future. But aside from that, maybe I'll set the context a little bit about what this show is all about and who we are. You can go back and reference our first episode when we get into a lot of details. There's a slide presentation of what have you, but we're going to keep it short for this episode. So we are Solace. We provide a platform for event-driven architecture. And this platform has several different components that enables our customers to transform their businesses and their infrastructure to be more real-time and event-driven. And it's quite impressive, actually. And I'm not just saying that because I'm part of Solace. We have a lot of great solutions that helps you with event streaming, event management, as well as observability and monitoring various aspects of your EDA.
So we thought a good topic for today was to talk about APIs, all sorts of stuff about APIs. And so, Ali, why are APIs important for developer, architects, and for the platform?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. So developers and architects are primary users of our platforms. That's the tools we build are built for those audience. And so it's quite important for us to take API seriously. And the reason for that, when I think about developers, is what do they need? They need flexibility. They need to be able to innovate, and they need a solution that's portable, efficient, and scalable. And they also want to collaborate and be part of a community. And I think APIs are kind of essential when it comes to all of those aspects. You know, with APIs, you kind of get to build what you want. You know, you get the user interface that is designed for the purpose that it's designed. But with the API, if it exposes the model the right way, then you can innovate and be flexible in what you're building. And then we'll talk a little bit about open APIs later, but if you have a platform that has an open API and protocol mindset, then you get to build these portable apps that then you can move to different platforms if you wish to do so. Then, of course, efficiency, automation and all of that is a big part of it. But then also, as a platform, I think what is really important for us is exposing these APIs so we can have integration, we can have ecosystem around our platform so that we don't have to build everything, so that, we can integrate with partners so that developers and the community can build solutions on top of our platform and customize what we do. And so there are examples we'll see today on SDLC tooling as an example, integration with IntelliJ. Or we'll see, when we talk with our customers these days, a lot of them are focused on configuration as code and infrastructure as code. And so we'll see examples of declarative configuration as an example that we are working towards. So I think APIs, whether at the platform level or users of the platform, are quite important. And, I'm sure you all have heard the term API economy, and there is a reason why that has taken off. So, I mean, Ed, maybe, back to the fact that you've been with Solace for 19 years, maybe tell us a little bit about the philosophy of open APIs at Solace. I think this has been around for a while, way before API economy was a thing, as an example, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Solace really is all about open APIs. When we started off a long time ago, we didn't have open APIs because they didn't really exist for this type of platform. But as time went on, we really embraced them. And, like you said before, open APIs, they're about portability. And that's good for both us and for our customers. On our side, we're not afraid of portability. You can use our proprietary APIs. We do have some. But if you're using open APIs, we don't expect you to move. We think our broker's great. And we think that if you're using open APIs on a different platform, it's only good for us because we honestly believe that we have the best broker around, and it just makes it easier for you to migrate towards us. Other things just to mention on open APIs, I mean, we want to go towards standards. A standard-based API lets us build on the work that others have done. It benefits us to have a lot of people that aren't just in our company coming together to figure out what the best way to solve these solutions are. And we also contribute to those. We've contributed both to MQTT and AMQP during their standardization process. So let's just talk about some of the open APIs that we do support. I'll start off with the data movement side, which are the APIs and protocols used to send and receive events. And the list starts with MQTT. We support AMQP. These are two, large messaging protocols. JMS is another API we support. That's one is more of the software API level that you embed into your application. And we also support HTTP and REST as a messaging protocol, both for ingress, receiving messages from clients, and for sending them out. So these protocols that we have here, all of the open ones, can be used simultaneously on the broker. You don't need a complicated connector framework to be deployed. You can just use them directly and they can communicate with each other. So for an example, you could have an MQTT IoT application that's publishing to a broker that is sent to an AMQP-based backend server. And the results of that could be sent off through an HTTP webhook to a cloud native service, all natively from the broker. Of course, you can also be using the Solace proprietary API to get some more advanced features, and that's, of course, up to you.
I think that what you said there is pretty powerful, right? Like the fact that in one end you could have IoT applications and then in the other end, like this is really, it provides a great integration opportunity for whoever wants to use the platform. I've also heard many cases that people who use other MQTT platforms or brokers, they run into scaling issues, and sort of using the open API allows them to move to our broker or their broker of choice.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we've seen quite a few different situations where customers will start on a lower end MQTT broker and get their service up and running, but as it scales, they find they need something a bit more robust and possibly a bit more globally distributed, which is what we can build with our event mesh. And it also is very powerful to be able to bring those together, like I said, without needing a connector framework. There are also still third parties that we will need connectors to talk to, but some of these more fundamental higher speed, massive scale type of connections, you don't want to have to pay the cost of having these extra connectors. So that native open API support is huge.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So maybe tell me a little bit about this Terraform provider you guys are working on. I haven't had the chance to catch up on that.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, what I wanted to show today was what we are working on towards getting our integration from a configuration management standpoint into an open third-party declarative style config. So, Ali mentioned earlier, people would like to have infrastructure as code. That's a very powerful way to set up your environment so that it's not all just baked into the databases of the product, but you can just stand it up from scratch over and over again. Much easier to migrate between staging and production and some test areas. And so we have been prototyping a Terraform provider. This is expected to be a fully supported product from Solace. And it is quite a powerful thing. So instead of just talking about it, I am going to show it actually in operation. So here we go. So in this demo, I mean, it's always hard to show pure configuration demos and make them somewhat interesting. So I have a couple of different ways of displaying the effect that the configuration has on the broker. And I'm just going to use a kind of visual display of PubSub messaging that I have. This is just a simple little tool that pushes balls down slopes. And these little portal things here represent clients or consumers and producers that are attached to the broker. This one up here is just a producer. The ball goes in there, it gets published to the broker. And this is all live, by the way. And I have 4 different consumers here. These are all trying to bind or are bound to 4 different queues within the broker. 2 of them, you see these colors are up and running, and these ones down here are failing to connect. And the reason they're failing to connect, I just log into my broker here. They are failing to connect because the queues don't exist. So I have a blue queue and a red queue, but the other 2 queues, which are green and yellow, do not exist. However, over here, I have Terraform configuration language that specifies, declares what your configuration should be. And you can see here, I have a red queue and I have a subscription on that red queue called demo ball red. So the red balls get attracted to that queue. I have a blue queue and the blue queue has a subscription called demo ball blue. So the blue balls go there, but I've commented out the green and yellow. They don't exist. And it is straightforward, we bring back that other screen, to add configuration. In this case, I'm just going to uncomment it by doing this. I save it, and then we just run Terraform. And so anyone that knows Terraform, once you've changed your declarative configuration, which is just text files, you can then apply it. And the whole configuration knows who and what needs to change. This application, if you can see here, has realized that there's a green queue that didn't exist. It's sprung into existence now, and this is able to connect to it. So this guy turns on, he's green.
So what's happening behind the scene here? Are we running these Terraform code against our API? Is that what the provider does here?
So a provider is a plugin for the Terraform infrastructure or framework that converts stuff that's in the Terraform language with some kind of API call that goes to the broker.
Got it.
This in particular is using our SEMP version 2 API, which is a full RESTful API. And basically the properties or the attributes of these objects are just straight from that API that come into the Terraform language. But there's a few things in Terraform that you can do with that. You can have modules, which are kind of like function calls, if you want to think of that, to set up multiple objects at once. You can have conditionals in there. You can set up a hierarchy of configuration within Terraform, which is quite cool, that will set up your application and set up the broker and set up all these different pieces across your entire infrastructure, all dependent on each other with potentially randomized names and stuff like that, and can set up all of your secrets and permissions and stuff like that through it as well. So very, very powerful. And yeah, just to show again, I mean, there's not much more to show here, but if I'm just running this and, again, you can see that the ones that are connected are getting, the blue balls are going through the blue. If I see a red one, it will come through the red. The green, I haven't actually set up a subscription for, so the green balls are going to go into the ether. They're not going anywhere. However, once again, save this. As easy as just running Terraform, figures out what the differences are, and now we can see the green balls are coming out.
Wow, that's
super
cool.
Super easy. You can change the parameters, and so this is the beauty of declarative configuration, is that you're not telling the broker do this, do that, change this, change that. You're just stating where you want to be, and Terraform will make it happen. So that's about it for this demo. It's, again, pretty straightforward and simple. And I am excited about this. This is just a prototype. We're going on to development very soon, starting up this month. And like I said, it's going to be a fully Solace supported product. So we'll go through our rigorous testing and stuff like that. So don't expect this tomorrow, but it's certainly coming very soon. And, again, I am super excited to get it.
That's awesome. So, I can totally see, like, with this, people take their queues and their subscriptions from their development environment all the way to staging and to prod, and it's all traceable through code changes.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like I said, sooner we get out, the better. But with like everything we do, we want to have high quality. So it's not tomorrow, but coming soon.
Sure. And yeah, for those who maybe missed the first episode, this is all about what's next. So we'll show you some demos that are from the labs, from our CTO office, et cetera, et cetera. So these are not necessarily products that are out there. We tend to be ahead of the product a little bit, which is what Ed is alluding to. So next thing I want to share is our new platform V2 API, and I'll quickly flash the API doc here, not as fancy as Ed's demo, of course, but if you go to api.solace.dev, this is actually live and you can go there and it kind of redirects you. And so this is our new API documentation tool. Very excited about this. It's an interactive documentation tool. Try to categorize all the APIs based on use case, and still a work in progress. So some of the newer APIs are under the beta banner, if you will. But I highly recommend you go check it out. So with that intro, we're going to go to Susan, who's one of our dev managers, and she's going to kind of walk you through the event broker services on Solace Cloud and their lifecycle management. And she's going to show you the interactive API documentation and how you can use it as a developer to experiment, validate, and then eventually, of course, write your own code. So let's go see Susan's demo and come back.
In this video, I am demonstrating how to use the Event Broker Services V2 APIs to create an Event Broker service, retrieve it, update it, and then delete it. The Event Broker Services API definitions are listed on the Solace REST API documentation page under the section Mission Control. There are currently 6 APIs available in beta version, and we're still rolling out enhancements for these APIs. Let's go ahead and create a service. Going to name it Demo 1, and I will be creating an Enterprise 1K standalone service in the GKE GCP US East 4A region. There, the response comes back with an operation ID, as well as resource ID, which is the service ID once it's created. And we can use this information to get the status of the creation operation. So the response says the create service operation is still in progress. Now in the PubSub Plus Cloud Console, you can see the Demo 1 service, which is created, and it's in pending state. I have previously created a demo service, so I'm going to go on with that service. Let's do a retrieval of the service. To see the service details such as name, data center, service class. Now I find the name very confusing, and I would like to update the name. To be more specific, let's call it dev test. And there, I updated the service name to dev test. And this should be reflected in the console as well. Dev test. And now I've done my testing and I would like to delete the service. You can do that also from the API. And the response comes back saying the operation is still pending, but this is a very quick operation, so we should be able to see the service being deleted momentarily. And as you can see here, the dev test service has been deleted. So there, this is how you can use the service APIs to do a CRUD operation on Event Broker service. Thank you.
So great demo. We're back. Again, lifecycle management of the brokers is key. Ton of customers who want to kind of stand up their brokers in an automated way and do integration with their CI/CD environments. And just saw an example of how you can do that using our V2 API. And then next up, we want to kind of show the V2 API in context of Event Portal, which is our event management product. And so we go to Aaron, one of our dev advocate team members, who's YouTube sensation, I like to say. And he's going to show us an IntelliJ plugin that they've built that, again, uses our API. And the goal of it is bringing Event Portal to developers' contexts where they work. So let's go see that and come back.
Hi, Ali. Hi, Ed. Thanks for having me on your show to record a little demo of the plugin that I wrote for IntelliJ. So as part of the EP 2.0 rollout, our team was tasked with building a number of different integrations to various tooling. And I got, as a Java guy, I got IntelliJ. So here we are. You can see I already have it installed. It's not available yet on the JetBrains marketplace. It will be soon, but for now, you just do a local install after downloading it from GitHub. After that, you just need to configure a token in the event portal with read-only access, and that's pretty much all you need to get going. So this is querying using the EP 2.0 REST API for various objects such as applications, the events, schemas, event APIs, and all that stuff that we have in the portal. I want to build kind of a tree type view rather than kind of a page type view. So you can see that right now we're grouping by domains. Within a particular domain, you can choose an app, see the different versions of that app, what their current state is, draft, released. For a particular version, you can see the various events that are published and subscribed, different little icons for each, the topic that is associated with each of them as well, and more information. Oh, you can drill down, even see the schema. So here we have some JSON schema, JSON payload, and you can actually view it right here in the in IntelliJ. So if you actually click on the name, it will pop you into the event portal with the right URL. So if there's more information, like a long description that I can't fit here in this tabular table view, you can always link into the event portal to get the kind of the full story. You can sort by domain. You can group by domain. You can also sort alphabetically. So here's all my apps within my organization. Here are all my events sorted alphabetically across my organization, or by domain. You can collapse everything, you can expand things, and if you expand everything out, you can really kind of see in one paged view here all of the different data that's available in my domain, in my organization, without having to kind of click around between different things. So just as a really quick demo, I'm going to pull up that customer-facing mobile application I had earlier, version 15, the release version. I'm going to look at the async API specification. This is again calling the REST API, or the EP2.REST API, and looking at the data here. And using async API tooling, I can now actually generate code. This is using their online API to kind of build this stuff. I'm going to build a Spring Cloud Stream Java app using the Solace binder. And I'm going to go ahead and open it right here in IntelliJ. So it's going to download it, unzip it, and open it as a new project. There's the README that comes with it. There are some pre-configured defaults for kind of where it connects to inside this application.yaml file. You can see it's kind of localhost broker. So if you want to connect to Solace Cloud, you just have to change your configuration here. And then you can actually run this app. I mean, it doesn't do very much. It's just a little framework. It's a skeleton app, but it's a full-blown app that it's a Maven project. It's going to build and connect to my local broker here. We're not going to see much data unless I actually have a publisher, and luckily I do. I got my SDK perf lined up here with some test topics and payloads. And you can see once it starts publishing, that data just starts flowing in here and echoing to the console. Obviously, you'd want to write some business logic to make it do something a little more interesting, but yeah, there you go. Using the EP 2.0 REST API to basically query the portal, get all that information, display it here in the plugin, and build some apps with it. So lots of possibilities. If you want to check out the code, or if you just want to try downloading it and installing it in your own IntelliJ, here are the links to the repos inside our Solace Labs GitHub project. And yeah, that's about it. So thanks very much for having me on your show. I'd like to say make sure to check out the office hours that I do once a month, and also be sure to sign up for the Solace community. So yeah, all right. Thanks very much, and see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Okay, you're back. Ed, what do you think?
Great. I mean, it's so nice to see from a developer's point of view, and obviously, like, I started as a developer, still love to do it, honestly, and having tool integration with all of the different platforms and APIs is essential, I think, to getting efficient and productive work done.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we love our users to use our user interface. We put a lot of energy into making sure that's perfect, but also we do realize that when developers are in the zone and they're living in their IDE, that's where they want to be. So we kind of want to enable them through APIs to create the integrations and plugins that they need to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then last but not least, speaking of developers, one of the new tools that a lot of our customers are starting to use and becoming more and more important is developer portals. So the stories we hear from our customers is they want all their APIs, whether it's event APIs, whether it's REST APIs or data APIs, they want in one place so that their developers can go to these dev portals, discover the APIs that are available in enterprise and start using them to, again, have that flexibility of reuse and sense of community within the organization. Of course, there are scenarios that you can expose these APIs as API products out to your partners as well. But the next demo that we want to show you is an integration with Backstage, which is one of these developer portals that is becoming famous. It's open source. And so what we've done is, again, we've used our V2 API to create an integration with Backstage. And let's go and see that. Ricardo is going to demo that from our CTU team.
So here we'll show you how we use the Event Portal APIs to surface assets from Event Portal within a Backstage application. So what we're looking at here is a Backstage application that offers the possibility to create plugins. So we have a plugin for application registrations, for products, and also for event API products and events. So if we click, for example, on the events, I can see a list of all the events, what version they are, what state they are, broker type and domain. So if I open one of those events, it goes back to Event Portal to retrieve all the details. And it's rendered here as an async API spec with the schema and the topics. So in the same vein, we have event API products and other plugins. So how did we get here? We started off with the API itself. So on API solace.dev, we can find a list of all our APIs. And so, for example, there's an API for Event Portal to manage application domains, get a list, create one, and so on. And as well, for example, to get a list of all the events and to get the details of an event. So the first step is to download the Open API spec. So you can download it here. We then run a code generation process that generates Node.js code. So here's a couple of APIs or generated APIs. And this is an example of the Event Portal Open API version 2.12. And if we look at the events service, this one, for example, you can see it has all the methods that the API provides. So create event, delete event, get the versions, and so on. So all the methods described in the API are generated here as classes. So for example, if we want to get an event, this is the actual method, takes an ID and an additional context ID, returns a promise of the event response. And the event response looks like this. And that's exactly what is defined in the API. So using these generated methods. We then basically build the plugins in Backstage. For example, this one we already looked at. This calls the get all events. And when you click on one, it gets the details of the event itself, but also the details of the specific versions. In this case, there's only one version. It then goes and fetches the schemas and the enums using, again, the API. So we can see here enums, fridge ID as a string, so that's an unbounded enum variable. And the schema is this. And that's really all I wanted to show you.
So we're back. Great demo of Backstage by Ricardo. Thanks, Ricardo. And so let's wrap up here. But before we do that, Ed, anything new other than APIs that you want to kind of talk about and highlight here before we wrap up for the day?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ali. So there's a lot of great stuff coming up on the broker specifically. We've got partition queues that are coming soon. This is a huge feature we've been working on for a long time. Great from a horizontal scaling point of view. Another thing that's exciting is coming up is Kafka integration, where we're going to have a Kafka bridge between Solace directly to Kafka brokers that will allow you to pull in or send events between the two brokers, which can leverage really the strengths of both of them, where the Solace broker can consume topics, actually use data within those events to create Solace-based topics, which are filterable with wildcards and stuff like that, to be able to take a Kafka topic and subdivide it into different delivery mechanisms. So lots of great stuff coming up for sure.
Pretty cool, yeah. And speaking of Kafka, I think the other big deliverable that is about to come up and become GA is our event portal support for Kafka, which supports discovery and audit, and it's pretty powerful. So you can easily discover your Kafka clusters, and then in subsequent runs, you can audit it and compare your runtime against your design time. Very excited about that, and kind of makes the platform much more powerful and complete. Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. So why don't we wrap up here? I think we had a good session, but that's I'm biased. So please go comment on our video, give us your feedback, and don't forget to join our community. It's solace.community. We'd love to see more developers contributing, building against our API, and share their feedback.
Yeah. Thank you, Ali.
Congrats, Ed.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.